Coming to you from 8122 Production Studios in the heart of the 607, this is Horror Zone 607. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And remember, you can always join the conversation using hashtag HZ607. Zone 607, the podcast where we talk all things horror and bring you the week's biggest horror movie news. I am your host, Mike C., back in the studio, cowering from the coronavirus, hoping to God that nobody in the studio gets it. Everybody's healthy so far. Hope everybody out there is as well. We're genuinely concerned. We mean that. But the show must go on. And so we've got a lot of news for you this week. We got some cool stuff to talk about. But I cannot do that without introducing my fabulous, wonderful, amazing co-hosts. First, 9 out of 10 people agree that he should be what the next Batmobile looks like. Everybody say hello to Rich.
Of course, because the Batmobile is awesome. Just because somebody in this room doesn't like it.
You mean the Dodge Charger?
Listen,
it looks awesome.
First of all, if you looked...
Fast and the Furious.
All right, if you listen to Three Fat Nerds podcast, you would get it even better.
I don't want to get it.
It's the version of the Batmobile that Tim Drake stole the wheels off of.
Exactly. By the way, this is year 2 Batman. He doesn't go from like I bet you his first one was just a regular car.
That's what it is in the comics.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the next level, which is a little bit souped up, and then it gets a little more souped up until you're finally there. It's year 2 Batman. Just like the bat bike doesn't look that over top, and neither does the costume.
I think it evolves into that with other movies, then I'll be okay.
So good.
Well, it's going to evolve. That's the whole point.
I don't know anything about the storyline.
It's year 2 Batman, so that means not year 1 Batman.
I've never read anything
second
from that.
year Batman, and they are doing the Long Halloween.
Yeah.
So that's why there's so many villains.
He doesn't drive around in a Dodge Charger in that.
They're melding different.
Eras. Things. Once again, it's a movie, so they don't do it all. So they're basically, because technically Long Halloween happens in like year 3 or 4. This is going there, but they're basing it on year 2 Batman. So they're trying to build a franchise where it can grow from there instead of being all over the place like they were before.
And even the Nolan movies had hints at like Long Halloween and stuff like that too. There were like tons of stuff that Nolan was throwing in, even like.
But think about it, like
the 90s comics stuff.
Where the Nolan stuff, which was good, failed though, is it put Batman as an older person when he started instead of a little younger, because Batman
was only Batman for a year.
And they skipped him right to like having everything,
having
all the tools.
Some major issues with that.
But once again, they were good movies. I'm not going to take against it. But yes, as a comic book fan, I'm like, technically, Batman took a while to get into his own skin, as anybody would. Because think about it, you're fighting crime, and the line, and of course, in Dark Knight, where he's like, I don't wear hockey pants. Year 1 Batman, damn near as close to wearing hockey pants.
Yeah.
If you read the comics. Because he runs around basically in the Batman noir suit, which is not really what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is that why this... I mean, again, I'm not a big fan of...
This is the
comics?
No, Edward Cullen there being Batman.
Oh, he's going to be great.
He's a skinny little dweeb.
Dude, he's going to be great.
Dude, everything he has done since Twilight has been amazing.
But he's Edward Cullen. His skin is going to be like diamonds.
He's bulked up, dude.
Dude, did you see the? Have you seen the photos? Have you seen the actual?
Yeah, it looks like a skinny guy and a big bulked up.
But here's the thing: he's not that skinny, and on top of it being not that skinny, it's year 2 Batman.
Yeah.
Batman doesn't just become the Batman that you think about, that most people think about, is right around Dark Knight era Batman. That is grizzled, beat down old Bruce Wayne who just wants to punch people in the face instead of like helping them. That is really where most people think about Batman. And I'm not talking about just because of the Dark Knight movies. I'm talking about the comics. That is where most people loved their Batman.
Because the Frank Miller one was so popular.
That's right, and that's Dark Knight. So with doing the Dark Knight version of Batman, and then you got to remember, Frank Miller also wrote year 1 Batman as well. And there was a reason why he did it, because he wanted to show later on, after Dark Knight and Arkham Asylum and all those things came out, he wanted to show the origins of Batman, to show, hey, he did come from he is a normal person. He's not a superhero. He's the only person in the DC universe that doesn't have superpowers. makeovers. Hence why he has the dossier on every other one that ends up biting them all in the ass. But he has it because, as he pointed out, I had to. I don't have the advantage of the fastest person.
Yeah,
on
the
Earth,
list of all their weaknesses and everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's got to outsmart everybody because he's just a normal human being that has a wonderful amount of toys, but he didn't have all those toys from the jump. I'm really hoping that because of the way that the bat symbol looks on the
the
thing,
gun?
well, no, what I'm hoping is that's how he accidentally comes across doing the batarang. I'm hoping he gets bogged down somewhere and he just rips it off of his own suit and uses it, and then you get the batarang out of it, because that would be an organic way in the movie to go, because it looks out of place. And I'm like, okay, well, he was toying with things just much like Spider-Man did. Yeah. Think about Spider-Man's outfit has gone through different, same thing with Batman. So that would be funny if he gets bogged down, he just rips it off and throws it at somebody. He's like, that works. And then we end up with a batarang, which is one of the more potent weapons. So that's why I'm giving it a shot. And that's why I said the car's not going to look like, first of all, I love the 1989 Batmobile.
That's my favorite.
That's my favorite one.
I like the one in the Christian Bale movies. I don't know.
That one's
I didn't like that at first.
But the Tumbler, the Tumbler is cool because it looks
for that character.
On top of that, it looks the most realistic.
Yeah.
If you were going to have an armored vehicle, that's a very realistic.
It's like an actual function.
But it worked for that Batman, that version of Batman.
But if we're going to be honest, I love the 1989 Batmobile because it just looks cool. It's got that funky look. It's not practical at all, let's be honest, people, but it doesn't have to be practical. It looks more like the comic book than anything.
Right.
And so seeing this, I'm going to the realistic because this looks like the car you would have to build into the Tumbler, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because think about it. When you're first starting and you don't have, Fox building you the Tumbler, you have to modify a Dodge Charger or Challenger.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm saying. I understand if you don't like it. I understand if people don't like it. But that's why I like it, because that's what you would do if you were building your own stuff.
Right.
And now that we've gone into the nerd
I
realm,
was going to say this and all this and more on your very next episode of Comic Book 607.
We also have Three Fenders podcast, part of A122 Productions. You can tune into that. You can hear all these musings, and you can hear Dr. Derek on a more intimate
maybe
level.
we should start a podcast.
I think people would be way more.
Maybe we should have a website.
Yeah, well, that's a good idea.
Hey, have you gotten over the fact that you fired us last week?
And we're back.
And we're back. And also back in the studio.
You've heard him already.
Not to forget him. You hear him talking. He's been here a lot more recently.
It's me.
He's wandered back in from the back of the studio. He is the smartest man in all of horror podcasting. Welcome back, the Professor.
Well, hello.
Well, what would you like to say about the Batmobile on the podcast that we should start?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, I think a lot of people would be way more upset if they used the first Batmobile, which was just a limousine, basically.
Yeah.
It was a red limousine that, it makes total sense. And even going into the year 2 Batman after Frank Miller did his run, there were a bunch of writers, they went on to year 2, year 3. There's a lot of potential with the way they're approaching this. Pattinson's going to be great. I like the theory that Kevin Smith floated out there because he wrote a great story for Detective Comics 1000 where he goes on the black market to find the gun that the killer used to kill his parents. And he uses that to form the breastplate for his suit. And Kevin Smith, when they released the footage of Robert Pattinson in the suit,
he said it looks like gunmetal.
That looks like the gun, and that's a really cool concept too. And I love the cowl. It just
the early on cowl.
Yeah,
it's not like, and of course the ears are not as prominent. It's slicked back. It's nice. And like I said, that's why I'm liking the look more, because as a comic book fan, I like going.
And
to
this is going to just strictly be a Batman story. It's not going to have Superman and Wonder Woman.
No.
Okay, good. Well, I'm happy to hear
villains
that.
galore.
Yeah,
but if they're doing Long Halloween, which is, like I said, is believed to do, it won't get bogged down with all the villains, because the villains are just in for a small amount of time, give you a taste, give you an introduction, give him somebody to make pass, and of course they're doing multiple films, as we know. So I think, honestly, that the Nolan films I really liked. I did like the first 2 Tim Burton ones. And then there's a whole lot of losers out there as far as Batman movies, because let's not even get into Batman Forever.
If it's dark and it's like a horror movie, kind of like it should be. If it's going to be the Long Halloween, that's the best.
It's going to.
In my opinion, that's the greatest Batman story that there is.
I feel like it's
Dark
going
Victory
to be.
is really good too.
There's so many good ones.
And before we jump into horror news, I'll just say I am a super big fan of championing the fact that Andy Serkis is Alfred.
Yes,
because Alfred is a badass in the comic books, because he was a former, and they're doing it well in the show that's on Starz, Pennyworth. He is a badass secret agent. Yeah. So basically, he wasn't just the butler; he was also the protector.
No, Sean Pertwee was in Gotham.
Gotham. Yeah,
Gotham. Gotham was Pertwee. They did a good night. In fact, with Jeremy Irons in the Batman movie with Ben Affleck.
I
like the
Irons
fact that they have
Alfred.
come back around to using badass Alfred, because Alfred, if in the comics, wasn't just a butler. He was the family's protector. That's why they hired a guy that wasn't a butler, but a former special ops guy.
Yep.
So Circus doing it
Maybe,
is
but
perfect.
Come on, Michael Caine.
And
why we found
I
down
like-
Mr. Wayne.
But
And
listen.
Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright is Commissioner Gordon. I'm very excited
Dude,
about.
did you see the mustache from the
Yeah,
picture?
yeah.
It's spot on.
I love it.
Spot on.
He's one of my favorite actors.
I don't even know who that is.
Jeffrey Wright. He plays Felix in the new James Bond movies. He was in
seen any of
Broken
them.
Flowers
He's very
with
good.
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray.
He's in a lot of indie stuff. He's a great actor.
He's a
The only
good.
thing I remember about
You'll
Broken
like him.
Flowers was the little hot girl that kind of comes out.
He's
with
the
nothing on and
he's
walks
the next
away.
door neighbor in Broken Flowers, the one who makes the list and
Yeah,
gives
like I
them
said, the only thing I
music.
remember is the hot girl that walks out naked and then goes away. That's
Oh,
literally
Lolita.
all I remember
Her
about
name
that
was Lolita.
Yeah, her.
Hey,
That's
I-
literally the only thing I
I
remember.
promise
of
you,
that movie.
you'll like him. He's actually a very
He's
good
great.
actor.
Okay.
So he'll be very good in this role.
Good.
I can't wait for it. But let's do
Yeah,
what
let's
we can.
actually dive in and talk about.
I want to
some
talk
horror
about
movies.
Batman.
Yeah, let's
Well, the only reason I'm
we'll
allowing
have to invite
this,
you on to Three Fat Nerds podcast. You
the
can
only
talk
reason
about
I
nerdy
brought
stuff
this
there.
up in the first place, and I'm allowing this right now, is Batman is horror.
Yes,
It
I
is.
say that all the
It
time when
is.
we've talked about this on
Paul
the show.
Dano
not
is
up
the
to
Riddler.
Oh, so good.
That's gonna be a
It's
great-
the best.
that's great.
That is the best.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I don't know about what's his name as the.
I'm
Penguin,
more
but-
excited for Paul Dano as the Riddler than anything else. in the
Believe it
movie.
or not, I'm not. I Colin Farrell is the Penguin I was on the fence about, and
Yeah,
then
I think
after Ron talked to, he's on the show as frequently as well. Ron was like, listen, and then he laid it down. He's like, I know you don't really like him, but think about this, and this, and I'm
He's
like,
done some weird
You
stuff.
know what? He could
Well,
probably be good in this
If
role.
he's going to be in full makeup and he's little fat Oswald, it's not
I
going to
don't
work.
think.
But
I
if
don't think
it's
he's
something
a gangster.
If it's going to be like
I think-
what's his name in Gotham, and it's
think-
kind of a young version, and he kind of becomes him, it'll work.
Yeah, that's
that
what
worked
I
in
think.
Gotham.
I think that's what they're doing. I think they're making him the younger, more gangster version of the Penguin,
Yeah.
who is trying to be the mafia leader. Hence, why there's the power struggle.
Crux.
Like I said, it is based on Long Halloween, but it's not going to follow the same dynamics. So I think you're going to see the Penguin is more like
they
in
need
Long
to do
Halloween.
the Long Halloween,
Like
What
in the
a
Long
movie that
Halloween,
would
where
make.
you end up with Two-Face, which I think you'll still end up here as
Yeah,
well.
yep.
But I think in the Long Halloween, where the Two-Face character was more prominent in the beginning of the story as Harvey Dent, I think the Penguin as a villain is going to be in that prominent role instead of Harvey Dent. I think Harvey Dent will be in the background and then pushed to the front towards the end of the trilogy, which we're told there's going to be a trilogy.
Yep.
Good.
So I think that's what they're going to do. That's just me. I hope they do. So far, I'm excited about it, which is saying something because lately I have not been super excited about comic book movies coming out.
Yeah, and Matt Reeves, those Planet of the Apes movies were fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. He's
Yeah,
a
except they're
great guy.
remaking that now. You did see that, right?
No.
They're going to remake it again.
No.
I know.
Those movies were
It was-
fantastic.
it's stupid that they're doing that.
That's
Yes.
Those
so
were really
dumb.
good.
That's
Better
because
than Planet of the
Hollywood-
Apes, anything.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
dive into horror though, because the
Yeah,
horror
let's get
fans
this
are
going.
like, the horror fans are like, you just spent 12 minutes between
Yeah, I know.
between that and talking about Batman. But
I feel
Batman
like we
is
should talk
amazing.
about we should take a commercial
I
break
have
already.
I have a Batman tattoo on my leg. I love Batman.
Batman's
do.
my all-time favorite. Yep.
All right, well, first piece of horror movie news that we got this week. James Wan is back in the news, as he always seems to be. He's going to be producing a new monster movie for Universal Studios. The Hollywood Reporter is saying that, this is a quote right from them. Sources say the story takes its cues from Universal's classic monster legacy and shines it through a modern prism. With shades of Disturbia, the story will focus on a group of teens who discover that a neighbor is building a monster in his basement. Spoiler, the monster gets loose, end quote. So it sounds a bit like Frankenstein.
I like it.
Actually, I'm not against that premise.
Yeah.
That's a
And
pretty
it's
cool.
James Wan because he's Wan in
Yeah.
a million.
He's wandering into some good territory. Sorry.
I quit.
Yeah.
I quit.
You're not firing us?
No, I should have just fired you guys and never come back.
I think you should have just quit last week because it'd have been better than firing us. I mean, we still show up.
Yeah.
The show's not going anywhere.
But yeah, it sounds like Frankenstein with touches of Reanimator.
Oh
almost.
yeah,
Yeah,
so sounds good.
And Disturbia. I mean,
And Disturbia.
which I actually like that movie.
Disturbia was a
fun
good movie.
Yeah. Morse, what was the guy's name who played the neighbor? Morse. He's a character actor.
Yeah.
Something Morse.
Yeah,
He's
I don't
awesome.
know.
He's great.
What's next in the news?
So next up, Max von Sydow. Unfortunately, the legendary actor who was probably most famous for The Exorcist.
Seventh Seal. and-
Yeah. He was in
Ming
many
the
different
Merciless
things.
and Flash Gordon.
Oh yeah,
I
but he's
also,
most famous for his role in The Exorcist. I
Father
would say is
Merrin.
Father Merrin.
he is in Mike's Nightmares.
Yeah, yes, he is. That whole movie is. Well, unfortunately, he did pass away at the age of 90.
Rest in peace, a legend. This guy is one of the best. Unfortunately, a lot of media outlets attached, like, oh, Game of Thrones and Star Wars actor Max von Sydow died. It's like, are you kidding me?
Once again,
This
the
guy,
media.
this guy was in some of the biggest movies in film history, and we're going to talk about him being in Star Wars.
Well, you know what? Before this show started, when we were off air,
I gotta say though, it's not really an insult to say he was in Star Wars or in
but he did
Game of
such-
Thrones.
in the context of his career,
But in
I
the
would
context
say.
of his career, it was a smaller roles compared to, especially The Exorcist.
He's
I mean,
in
I
his,
think he's
he was
most
in
known
his
for that.
80s and 90s just cashing in paychecks
Right,
in
exactly.
Star Wars
But
movies.
off
or
air, we
whatever.
were talking
I
about how
have
the
no problems with
media.
that.
Yeah, it's no problem, but like, let the Seventh Seal alone is like blows
Like I
all
said,
that
but
shit
I
out
would
of
say
the water.
I would say he was most known for The Exorcist.
Right.
Quite
But
personally.
off air, we were talking about how the media blows up all this stuff like the coronavirus scares and this and that, and you know, it's the media doing what they do. And once again, this is just more proof. Don't listen to the media. You know,
Well, they're trying to go with the young hip kids, the ones
Yeah,
that don't know.
that
don't
oh
know.
yeah, I know him from Game of
There was
Thrones.
that.
Yeah.
There was that screenshot of the Stephen
makes
King
sense.
thing.
It makes
Somebody
sense.
asked it about as a coronavirus. It was similar to what Stephen King wrote about in The Stand. So Stephen King on
Predicted
Twitter said, "Listen, this is nothing like The Stand. It's not whatever. This is first of all, it's real, but secondly, this is kind of just do what they tell you and you'll be fine." And then somebody wrote back. They're like, "Did you even read the book?" It's Stephen King. He not only did he read the book, he wrote the fucking book. So my point of the matter is that's I think that's why they had to throw in Game of Thrones and Star Wars, because
To get the
people
clicks.
don't know. It was like the whole people saying that Paul McCartney's career was going to blow up because he was on a Kanye track.
Yeah.
Like not realizing that Paul McCartney was in the Beatles. These kids just don't know.
The kid might have
yeah,
something.
they need to get
kids
the
don't
clicks.
know.
They need to get the clicks.
that Paul McCartney, that kid might have something.
But think about it, they just don't know.
I totally understand it, but to me, as like, I grew up Ming the Merciless, Flash Gordon.
I always forgot that was him.
That's such an underrated movie. I mean, obviously it's a cult classic. People love it and everything, but it's so good,
So
and
do you
he's
think
so
when-
good in it.
Do you think when what's the guy's name that played Flash Gordon?
Sam Johnson,
Sam Jones, I think. or something like that?
something.
So you think when he passes away, they're going to be like Ted and Ted 2 stars?
Yeah.
Jones, like
likely actually,
Yeah.
because nobody knows what Flash Gordon is
Right.
anymore.
exactly.
What was?
Hold on,
I remember
got-
loving that
I got
movie as a
Google-
kid.
I got
Ming the
Google
Merciless
pulled
scared
up.
me.
I think it is Sam Jones.
Sam
pretty
Jones,
sure it is.
Sam J. Jones.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yes,
he was
Sam
great
J.
in the
Jones.
Ted movies, though.
Although it was a different time in 1980 because Max von Sydow could play Ming the Merciless and it wasn't considered, racist.
yeah.
Good point.
Brian Blessed is the Hawkman, the leader of the Hawkmen. He's one of my favorite actors.
Of course, you got to remember
Hawkman
Timothy
Jive.
Dalton was also in that movie.
Who?
Timothy Dalton was also in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Baron, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great.
He had
movie.
a great cast.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we have more sad news to pass along. Your next star, Nick Tucci, who played Felix in that movie. I know you're a fan of this movie,
Yes,
Professor.
absolutely.
He did pass away also. March 3rd, he passed away. He was just 38 years old.
That's
That is-
tragic.
That is very tragic. He was dealing with a long illness, from what I understand.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
I think they just said long ill. I don't know if they actually revealed it. I
Yeah.
don't. But it's a tragedy. He kept it secret,
yeah.
so that he could keep working
Right.
up until the end.
You know, after that movie, I thought he was going to start showing up all over everything, and
Yeah.
never saw him before, never saw him again.
Yeah, it's
He'd
kind of
been
like
in other things, but just stuff I hadn't watched.
it's kind of like a John Cazale type thing. John Cazale was Fredo Corleone, and like he was in 5 movies, and great actor. Married to
actor.
Meryl Streep. He was partners with Meryl Streep. Deer Hunter.
Yeah.
They made Deer Hunter. They knew he was dying. They wanted to film everything so that he could be in it. So like it's kind of like that route, but in the horror genre.
Well, there's some breaking news. This is per Bloody Disgusting. I just saw this. This just popped up not long ago. Jennifer's Body director, Karen Kusama, attached to direct a new take on Dracula for Blumhouse.
Oh boy, I hope it's not the one that I heard about originally.
What?
There's an idea floating around for Dracula that's really bad.
What is it?
I don't have the exacts in front of me because it was just rumor, so I kind of ignored it. But there's like a take on it where it's going to be, of course, modernized, but it was just bad. I can't. I should have I didn't have it prepared because it was that bad and it was just rumors.
I don't
It's
even
just
want to
rumor
think
and
about
innuendos.
it. What would it have been?
I don't know. So I hope it's not that one. I hope she has a better take than the one that I saw that was out there in rumor.
Yeah, the Hollywood Reporter, this is a quote right from the Bloody Disgusting website here. A Hollywood Reporter notes, the project isn't housed at Universal yet, and technically it could be made at another studio because Dracula is in the public domain. But they also note, however, that it is highly unlikely Universal will not be involved. So that's it. It's breaking news.
Yeah.
Wasn't prepared for that. So yeah, we might as well talk about other Blumhouse news here.
Yeah, go ahead. Jump right into another Blumhouse.
Two more things, actually. First, The Invisible Man. Might as well talk about
Yes.
that. Nearly doubled its box office in its second week in theaters. It now sits at $98.3 million worldwide, and it is now expected it'll make at least, if not more than $200 million by the end of its run. Awesome! You betcha.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to see it yet?
No. Unfortunately, I've been... just super busy.
Yeah.
Life has been kind of a pain in my ass lately. I just want to throw it out there.
Yeah, just wait until it comes out on video. You know, watch it on the Sci-Fi Channel. It's horrible.
Wait until it comes out on VHS.
It's just a terrible movie. You'll hate it.
Wait until it comes out on VHS.
Yeah, wait until it
You
comes
can
out on
rent it.
VHS and Laserdisc.
Yeah.
So no, it was a great movie. So I'm glad to see that it's doing so well, especially on such a small budget. I said it last week. This is proof, once again, you don't need a big budget to make a great horror movie.
Yeah.
The smaller the budget, it tends to be.
Well, you just need a really good
better.
for any movie. Really, you just need a good idea and a creative mind
right.
to direct things.
But this is proof. You don't need to spend over $100 million on a horror movie. You're
Yeah.
going to fail if you do that.
Yeah.
You know, even if it makes $200 million, you're going to fail.
Like you don't want a Van Helsing.
So,
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
gonna jump back for a second because I did find this. This is just
The
rumors.
take on Dracula.
This is just rumors. It's from Bleeding Cool, so just take it for what it's worth. Sources are saying that Matt Manfredi and Phil Hay are working on a script, and it will be a contemporary spin on the classic H.G. Wells novel of New Dracula, would take place in modern times.
Well, I hate to break this to you. This says right at the end of this this paragraph here on Bloody Disgusting, the same article, Matt Manfredi and Phil Hay, The Invitation, are writing the script.
Yeah, so they're doing the H.G. Wells version of Dracula.
Great.
I don't
And
think
if I maybe you could get familiar, it's not. It's very H.G. Wellsy. Just throwing that out there. I'm sorry.
So they're going to follow up the success of The Invisible Man with that garbage?
Yes, and like I said, it's not based on the classic Bram Stoker, and it will be contemporary and modern and H.G. Wells-ish.
And it's probably going to have a huge budget then.
Yes.
Although it's through Blumhouse, so they tend to keep things
but still,
small,
it's
but
still big for them, $20 million.
it's not going to get good reviews. That's
I don't
going to
know.
kill their momentum if that's
It
what they're
won't be
gonna
what
do.
people are familiar with because the Bram Stoker. Bram Stoker is what we're all familiar with Dracula. H.G. Wells was just a different take. So
Yeah.
I didn't realize H.G. Wells wrote H.
he did. It's an interesting one. Maybe you'll like it a lot. I don't know. It's different.
You like everything that everybody else in the world hates.
It's,
So
it's a
you'll
very,
probably love
it's
it.
a very different take. So sorry for going backwards for a minute. Press
that's
on.
okay. We do have
I
more
just wanted
Blumhouse
to throw
news,
it
though.
out there for the because that's why I passed by it earlier in the week because I'm like rumors. I'm not really going to deal in rumors, but now it seems like it's more concrete than just a rumor.
Yeah, it's got
Okay.
the same people attached to what you were reading there, so it's got to be what it is.
Looks like H.G. Wells wrote many tales in which fantastic creatures threaten the British Empire, invasion literature, blah 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 blah. Victorian readers enjoyed. Yeah. This isn't saying anything about his take on it, but I'm interested.
It's Wellsian. Just
Yeah.
put it that way. So if you're a fan of Wells, then maybe.
Well, his Invisible Man's great.
yeah.
Like that's his original story. So
Yeah.
Right,
he's
but like I
great,
said,
but
but once again, the Dracula take is completely different than Bram Stoker, and
Yeah.
that's really what we think of when we think about Dracula.
And those other Dracula tales that they've tried to tell in the last 20 years have been terrible.
Yeah,
that's a lot
Terrible.
of good alliteration there.
Yeah.
Tales of terrible.
That's what I was going
Good job.
for.
Good
That's
job.
what I was going for. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
All right, so
Professor.
what's the next Blumhouse news? Sorry that we've gone back in time
Yes.
now.
So this is coming. Yeah, exactly. So this is straight from Jason Blum himself. So he was recently asked about turning Hollywood Horror Nights into a movie. As you know, there's been a lot of his stuff recently that's become part of Hollywood Horror Nights.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was asked about doing that, and per Bloody Disgusting, he actually said yes, definitely. We've actually talked about it. Blum told the site, we haven't quite figured out exactly what we're going to do with it, but there's definitely a movie in Halloween Horror Nights somewhere. So nothing is currently in the works, but it is possible we may see that.
I am a gigantic fan of Halloween Horror Nights. Eventually, I will make it there. Unfortunately, we don't live near Florida or California, so I can go to Universal Studios. But eventually, I will make it there because that's my goal in the next couple of years, and I'll cover it on this show. But the cool thing about Halloween Horror Nights is they have a lot of original tales. For a long time, they didn't do IP houses. IP houses have just become a thing over the last decade of Halloween Horror Nights. Because before, they used to use the Universal monsters in the beginning, and then they started creating their own things like Jack, the clown, the killer clown. They also had one that was the storyteller. They had the director. They've done recently. They did last year. The Nightingales made a return. That's something that they do with their creatures that are bird-like creatures. So there's a lot of things depending upon what they want to draw from that they can actually draw from that are original stories to Halloween Horror Nights. Every year they have about half of their houses are original ideas. Some of them are continuations on other ones. They like to use Cary, Ohio a lot, so I'm sure that will be something in the story. But yes, the IP houses have gotten a lot bigger and better due to the fact that they're bringing so many in. But their original story houses, a lot of people who are fans of love those houses the most because you can play around with those. I mean, basically, when you go to Halloween Horror Nights and you go to, let's say, the Us house, you are walking through Us.
Yeah.
So that's what you expect to see, or Ghostbusters or whatever. Because last year's Ghostbusters and Us and House of a Thousand Corpses was also on that.
I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah.
But last year they also did one that was called Holidays or something like that. There was an original house, and it was like literally you went through the calendar year to the different holidays, and they turned them into horror things.
There was a movie that was like that.
Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I did see it. It was an anthology. It was on Netflix for a while.
There were a few segments that were excellent. There
Some
were a
of
few
them,
that
the
were
Easter
rough.
one was kind of
The Easter one freaked me out. Yeah, when you see the creature. Whatever that was.
Most of them were pretty bad, but still, it was a cool idea.
Wasn't it mixed with like Jesus and the Easter Bunny?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
You know what the weird part about that is it was an anthology that was directed by a bunch of different directors. One of the directors that directed Kevin Smith.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Kevin Smith was one of the directors. And so wasn't Seth Green.
Yeah, Seth Green was
did a
the
story.
Christmas one.
Yep.
That was
And
awesome.
I do believe
Wasn't he in that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he did that. They had a bunch of different directors. So it was really cool. But this wasn't based on that.
What
It was their
holiday
own
was
thing,
Kevin
so.
Smith's?
I
remember.
want to say Thanksgiving for the joke.
Thanksgiving.
But I could be wrong.
It was the girls that like did the cam stuff, right?
Yeah.
Oh, what? Never
I just
mind.
can't remember.
matter.
It doesn't matter at this point. But anyways, Horror Nights, I think it'd be great. There's a lot of original that you can draw from there, and they would make great movies. And I know there's enough fans of Horror Nights that would definitely go out and see that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So we might get to see it. For residents near Ellsworth, Maine, on Saturday, September 19th, you can see the original Pet Cemetery at its actual filming location. So Onset Cinema, we talked about them recently. They're actually going to be showing the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre in Leatherface's house, in
That's cool.
the Sawyer's house. So these people, they were the ones that did Scream at Stu Macher's house. They've done some really cool events. So they're putting this on. So the same people who brought you that are doing this
In the actual
you know it's gonna
cemetery
be good.
location, right?
Yeah, they're going to be doing it in where they actually used for the cemetery in the movie. So that's pretty cool. You're actually going to be in the pet cemetery doing it, which is not really a pet cemetery.
Things
it's just
can
kind of
get scary.
Small wooded area, but it's going to be creepy and spooky. The best part about this is they're hosting the event for just $20. So some of the other ones have been expensive, probably because they had to rent out the house for like Scream. Because that one, if I remember right, that was like $300-$400.
So this is just out in the middle of the woods.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I think is even just as cool.
Well,
anyway,
that would be cool if you had to park and then walk into the woods and
Yeah.
then you sit down and then the movie. Oh, that's awesome.
that would be cool.
Yeah.
That scene, I would actually just looked at something on YouTube recently about the filming location for that. Adam the Woo, who does all kinds of cool stuff, he did one, but that was like nowhere near. I don't think that was really anywhere near the house.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anywhere near the actual pet cemetery. Those were all in different locations. I think
new-
it was closer
the
to
remake, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. This is from the original.
Yeah.
But what they used for the pet cemetery wasn't just down that path.
Oh, no.
In Lewis Creed's house, it was.
Yeah,
I
no.
think it was closer to that. But the pet cemetery was like in Acadia National Park.
That's movie magic.
or something like close by Acadia.
It's movie magic.
It was
Like,
movie. Golly.
well,
it
it's
sure
like
was.
the making of Eraserhead. Like David Lynch stopped making it for a long time, and there's like a cut where Henry, the main character, walks through a door, and like the one scene they filmed was 5 years before the next scene.
Oh, really?
So like,
I gotta
there's
say,
a 5 years passage of time.
I know
between
people dig that
one cut
movie
to-
and they consider that. I hated that movie.
Oh, it's so
it was
good.
so awful.
It's good. It's a masterpiece, horror masterpiece.
Most people actually agree with you on that one. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm right.
I hated that movie.
You're wrong. Your opinion is wrong.
On the movie, now you got me all flustered. You know what? Shut up. Just shut up. Don't come back. You're fired again. You're fired. Go back out back. We got horror series news. Horror series news. That's what I'm trying to say here.
Serious horror series news.
So, The Last of Us, one of my all-time favorite video games, is being made into a series on HBO. So, pretty excited about that. Have you played The Last of Us before?
Oh, no. I've seen a student of mine actually wrote a paper about it.
Yeah.
Being like one of the best. He wrote an
It's
argument.
amazing.
Yeah.
The sequel's coming out at some point this year. It's been delayed like 500 times.
I had a student do like the literary value of video games, and Last of Us was one of them. And he showed me the opening of the.
in the house.
Yeah, it's crazy with the daughter.
Yeah, that's actually probably my least favorite scene least favorite thing in the game because I just wanted to play and it takes a while to kind of get through it. But
like, holy crap! Like it sets up like it's such a tragedy. It's so crazy.
I always said it's although it's not based on it whatsoever. The movie Maggie kind of reminded me a little bit of that. I guess it didn't, but it did. Yeah, I don't know why, but Maggie's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah,
I mean, love that movie.
Like the daughter in Last of Us doesn't. She dies though. Like she just flat out dies. Yeah.
So. She ends up dead because she gets attacked by one of the things.
Yeah, like right in the opening, and then it fast forward.
And then it fast forward how many years and Joel.
But Maggie's like he's dealing with the fact that his daughter's a zombie.
So there was something about that reminded me of. Have you played the game, Rich?
Of course I have.
Thematic elements.
What do you think of this?
I think it works itself out to be a series. I mean, it's a video game that is fun to watch people playing as well as playing yourself. So, I mean, it does lend itself to be a TV series or movie. So I'm all right with it.
Now, I'm a little confused by this because I always thought that this would have been something they'd make into an actual movie, and maybe someday they will. But
right now, though, make it into a series, you get to tell more of a story. Well, you get to tell more of a story.
Yeah,
and
then it is a long game,
and perhaps maybe cover more ground than Walking Dead has covered in how many years of television?
In 10 episodes.
Well, just doing the same storyline over and over again will do that to you. I'm just saying.
Right.
Walking Dead sucks. I'm just gonna say that. Walking Dead sucks shit.
Yes,
thank you.
I'm not even gonna. I'm not.
I'm not sorry about that.
I'm not even gonna defend that. It's not good.
Okay, 2 more stories. American Horror Story. We got our first tease today.
Yes, Ryan Murphy sent out a Instagram photo of the first promotional photo, I should say. It looks like somebody, I don't know if it's a edge of a cliff or if it's the edge of a beach, but you can see a big body of water. You can see 2 hands up, and he captioned it with, "Look what's washed up."
Yeah.
So
people are thinking it might be an aquatic horror.
Some people are thinking it's aquatic. Some people are thinking it might be on an abandoned island. Some people may, like more of a horror version of Lost, if you will. Stranded on an island, killer
to me,
something.
It could be anything. To me, it tells me that somebody got murdered and thrown into a body of water, and it's coming back.
But the hands look very alive, so who knows? Maybe they thought the person was dead, and
Right.
it's going to be a continuation of
It
the
could be.
slasher.
It could be. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Maybe Macaulay Culkin will be the slasher.
That'd be amazing.
Maybe it'll be Home Alone on an island where people are getting offed for real.
Like
Only if he's playing
Lord
Kevin
of the
McAllister.
Flies. Lord of the Flies. American Horror Story.
I'm in.
That would be
I'm
cool,
in for
actually.
something like that.
That would be
because think about it. There's no way Kevin McAllister was the most sadistic man on the planet. Kid into a man.
He murdered 2 people.
Like there's all the stuff he did to them was not mild mannered fun. All of that would have killed them.
Yeah.
I just want to throw it out there.
He would have murdered them about 50 times
Well,
over.
have you guys seen the videos online of like what would really happen to those guys if he did that to them? Like the paint cans would have like snapped their necks, and then the falls would have hit like.
What about when he
lighting his head on
electrocuted
fire?
The Home Alone 2 with the brick to the head.
Yeah.
Like
Multiple.
instant death.
from that height?
Marv
would have been death if he did it from like a couple feet away.
The brick would have just entered his head.
How about Marv eats like 10 of those?
Yeah.
Not only that, it's also the one where they get hit by. Remember, they get hit by the
banister?
No, that too. But they get hit by the toolbox down the stairs, and
yeah.
it knocks them back through the hole with the toolbox falling on top of them.
Oh,
that
man.
heavy of a toolbox that can push you that far, you're dead. You're not.
Well,
getting
the
up
toolbox,
for
for what it's worth, if we're talking about real things, the thing would have tipped over and
Well,
fell
yeah.
down the
And then
stairs,
Marv
but-
doesn't Marv get electrocuted?
He gets
yeah.
electrocuted. He
He looks
turns
like-
into a skeleton.
Yeah, he looks like one of the. It looks like one of the Grateful Dead.
Yeah,
guys.
yeah,
It's great.
It's like the Touch of Grey
Touch of
video.
Grey, yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. But yeah,
Right
over
after,
and over again.
Right after Harry's head is on fire.
It would be a really cool horror movie, Home Alone.
They should turn it into a horror movie.
Why the hell not? But here we go. American Horror Story, maybe that's what they'll do. Maybe they'll make our dreams come true. Kevin McAllister has been on this abandoned island. People wash up on shore, and he's going to home alone their asses and call it a
But for
day.
real.
But
Yeah.
for
But
real.
another
Like,
cool
this
take
time
would
they'll
be
dead.
like a body washes up and like what's happened out there. You know, like
Maybe.
is there something? Yeah. Well,
If
There's
it's
a lot of cool. There's a lot of cool takes. I like the fact that Ryan Murphy likes to tease things. I mean, we're a little ways away from it in the fall, but he's always good about teasing them.
Yeah.
They started early last year with 1984 as well.
Yeah.
So I'm all in. We'll be keeping our eyes on this one.
All right, last thing, and this is something we talked about a few months back. The streaming service Quibi has I can't even like say this with a straight face, like because this is just like so off the wall, and I actually want to I want to get the streaming service because I want to watch this. So a lot of people like things about murder houses, documentaries and whatnot, stories about murder houses where real life murders took place. A lot of people like home decorating shows and flipping houses and stuff like that. So there is and again, we did talk about this. So there's going to be a new series on Quibi that's going to be called Murder House Flip. And we have a premiere date for this, April 6th. It's going to begin. The episodes are only going to be 10 minutes long. But this show is where they're taking real-life murder houses and renovating them and flipping them. So the tagline that they're using for the show is that they're taking these houses from morbid to marvelous.
Well, the thing with Quibi is I do believe nothing on Quibi could be more than 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
I do believe that's the catch for Quibi.
I don't know how you can get a show out of this in
Why
10
not?
minutes.
It's like skits.
You skip over all the useless shit. Like,
Yeah.
see, think about it. You
All
take
those shows are bullshit.
I'd want to know more about the history of the house.
Well,
and
that's what you
happened.
do. You go
You're not
10
gonna be able to
minutes.
get that.
You go 10 minutes while you're renovating the house. You do 10 minutes of the history of the house, and then in the last 5 minutes you did the reveal of how it's different.
But it's only 10 minutes long.
Okay, 5 minutes. I don't know.
Well, like
know.
show the house as is, backstory, renovations, boom.
Yeah, or you can make it more than
Yeah.
one episode long.
Yeah.
That's also the we've talked about Quibi in the past because that's also where they were doing the idea of doing that midnight Stephen King horror show.
Yeah.
That
Oh, yeah,
had
yeah,
to be
yeah.
released at midnight,
Right.
And it would only be released at midnight. You could only watch it from midnight to 1 a.m. That was
Yeah.
it. So they're so Quibi's doing some interesting stuff.
High concept stuff.
Yeah, they're doing different stuff than everybody else. I don't know
Definitely
if I'm on
different.
board. I don't know if I'm on board with Quibi yet. Especially with every other heavy hitter out there with Disney Plus, HBO Max on the horizon very soon. Peacock Network to a shorter extent. I'm not enough a fan of Friends to want Peacock Network.
Right.
Saved by the Bell is going to be on it though, so that's a win.
Isn't the new Hannibal, the Clarice? Isn't that?
I do believe that's on-
That's going to be on CBS.
That's on CBS.
They're bringing back Hannibal. What?
There you go. There's another
Not
one.
Hannibal, but
CBS,
Clarice.
CBS Now is still a thing, but it's not. It's weird how they're doing all sorts of this stuff. But
Did that not really take off?
The two big ones that are the one that came out recently with Disney Plus. Of course, Netflix is always there,
And see, I'd like
then
to
the
see
other
Murder
one's going
House.
to be
This
HBO
Murder-
Max is going to be the
This
other
show I'd
huge
like to
one.
see on Netflix. I want to see like seasons of this because
Our
there's so
show?
many murder houses.
I want to see our show on Netflix.
Our show. I'd love to be
Yeah.
on Netflix if they're
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah, why not? I would also love to be on Shudder though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think it's time to reach out to Shudder
They
again.
do listen. So
They
good
do.
for
We should
them.
reach out to them again. If you
Thank
guys
you.
are listening, come on, pick us up.
Well, you know who is
Pick me up, Lord, from the bottom.
But you know what? You know who we guarantee is listening? All of you listening to us right now. And we always want to hear from you. So if you want to talk about anything we talked about in that segment, including Batman, because we're always about talking about Batman,
Yes.
you can do that on social media. We are on Facebook, Horror Zone 607. Make sure you like and share that page. We're also on Twitter and Instagram at Horror Zone 607. Make sure you're following us on both of those as well. And last but certainly not least, when you're talking on the social medias, use that hashtag HZ607 to let us know you're joining the conversation. Also, you can go to 8122productions.com. Check out some of the reviews we have up on there. Check out some of the events we're a part of. Check out all the news. Check out the Three Fat Nerds podcast. Check out friends of the show like the ODPH and all our local sponsors and so much more. 8122productions.com for all of that. And last but certainly not least, if you would like to support the podcast monetarily and get some awesome content from the 8122 production families, a lot of bonus content for only $1 a month. That's only $12 a year, folks. You get all that content on Patreon, patreon.com/8122 productions, and maybe even more to come. So, because, we were talking about on the Three Fat Nerds podcast, it was the 100th episode, by the way.
Oh, nice.
This week. So 100 episodes of Three Fat Nerds, which one day will be there, not too far in the future, even on this show.
Yeah.
And guess what? We're like, hey, what can we do more? Hey, let's do more for Patreon. Let's get some people on. The reason we have the paywall is because, trust me, we cannot let Dr. Derek do what he does on Love is Scary without a paywall. And for the month of March, you get an episode every week instead of once a month or once every other week, because he wants to up the game on that as well.
You'll never think of hot ramen the same.
Oh, we haven't gotten to that. That's week 3, so that's a good tease, though.
Yeah.
So this upcoming week, you'll never look at Twitter the same after, because it will be coming out on Hump Day every week. Because come on, what other day can Dr. Derek come out? But Hump Day?
Humping.
Is it a weekly show now?
Well, for the month of March, it is.
Oh.
And then it's going to be back to like once or twice a month.
And I've got an idea for the next
well,
time.
yeah,
that I'm
you
on
have to get on there. But he wanted to remember his New Year's resolution was to do more. Hopefully, you can get on for the 4th week. We haven't recorded that yet, so we'll have to make that happen, even if it's from your undisclosed bunker.
Yes.
So
we'll be talking more about that in the future.
So with that being said, though, we are going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking some horror. More importantly, we're going to talk about Nightmare on Elm Street. So we'll be right back.
Hey, this is Ken
Padawan J.
Coach Tuffy from the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast, and you're listening to Rich and Mike on the Horror Zone 607 podcast.
Wait from everyone to shadows laying in the sun. Together we lay our heads, the fire blows and time to burn. Time to say goodnight, right on mine, right down tight. Soon without a sound, can't fall asleep, you're not around. You're not around. Away from everyone to shadows laying.
All right, horror fans, we are back to talk some horror. And this week, we're going to do like an editorial piece. We've done these. It's been a while since I've done one of my editorial pieces. I was going through the horror entertainment news, and I came across this on Showbiz Cheat Sheet, which is cheatsheet.com. Just to give them credit, the person who wrote the article that inspired me, his name is Josh Lesme. And the article he wrote is A Nightmare on Elm Street, 5 actors who can convincingly follow in Robert Englund's footsteps as Freddy Krueger. Of course, we are at a crossroads. The Craven family owns the rights outright, and they are looking to make. Everybody is pitching ideas to them, and they said when the right idea comes, they'll be in. Of course, we know Robert Englund is in, and he's out, and he's in, and he's out. And then he says he's in if it's animated, he's out if it's got practical. So we don't know. Robert Englund could be in, could be out. It depends on his mood in the day and the week, which at his age, I cannot blame him. But we're very realistically at a precipice where we need a new Freddy Krueger, because who else is going to be in Freddy's Dead? Who else? I wanted to get it out of the way before everything got serious. Mike.
Hey-o.
It's in there. It's in there. So they have a list of 5 guys, and I thought the 5 guys were very intriguing, and I would like to get your opinion.
Burgers.
And then I'm going to open it up to you guys and myself to name anybody else we think that could play a convincing Freddy Krueger that fans would like. Of course, we know Jackie Earle Haley did try to be Freddy Krueger, and for better or for worse, it didn't work out. So maybe a different actor could have better luck.
Oh, I think that was just unfortunate production, I think. Like, he could have been great, but yeah, the wrong director, wrong idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of wrongs. I can't just blame it on him. So the first person on their list is Michael Keaton. Of course, Michael Keaton has played a horror-esque villain before in Beetlejuice. We have recently seen him as the Vulture in the MCU.
He can get that voice.
And yeah, Michael. They even say here Michael Keaton's portfolio sets him up for Freddy Krueger. Seeing the actor slide that glove onto his hand before scraping the pipes would be movie magic. How would you guys feel if Michael Keaton was announced as your next Freddy Krueger?
So I just want to point out there's no way anybody's going to be happy if it's not Robert Englund.
I got that.
We'll get that, but you're right. That would be really good.
I think
Michael Keaton's gold in everything he does.
He'd be probably my favorite pick. He'd be the pick. Yeah.
I just talking about Michael Keaton, not to get off topic here, but have you ever seen the movie The Other Guys?
Yeah.
So good.
How great was Michael Keaton in that?
good.
You got to creep. Oh, come on. Nobody says creep unless it's a TLC reference.
I'm working here, and I'm working at Bed Bath & Beyond. Because I've got a bisexual son who's going to NYU, and he wants to be a DJ. I got to pay for that.
I love it. Dude,
That movie was
but
great.
Michael Keaton's great,
He's
in,
great
everything.
in everything.
So my thing is that I think he'd be great as Freddy Krueger as well. And I think if he puts in a good enough performance, people won't forget about Robert Englund. It's not about forgetting.
Yeah.
But I think that people would be happy with it and go, oh, we accept this.
He's got kind of like the spastic energy, you know, like and the voice. He's got the voice.
Oh, definitely. I can see honestly,
even the
I can
face,
see him.
like
Yeah.
even the face, you could see the makeup on him. I could see that.
I think he'd be great with the glove.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think that's
A little bit of the comedy if they want to throw the comedy in.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely the part. I mean, let's be honest. Over time, starting around part 3, he became very comedic at times. So
Yeah.
it would be good to have a guy who has comedy chops like Michael Keaton. I'm with Michael
Comedic
Keaton.
actors are generally
Quite
better
honestly,
actors
that was
anyways.
my favorite one on this list. Not saying that any the other guys on this list are very capable. I just think this.
I wouldn't even have thought of him, but now that you say it,
yeah.
I want him.
Well, number 2, I have a feeling it's because he's the it guy currently. And number 2 is Joaquin Phoenix. Of course, great role as Arthur Fleck in the Joker. Won the Academy Award for it. I want to point out what they point out about it because, once again, this is their list, so it's easier to do that. They say Phoenix's depiction would imaginably subtract some of the corny humor, opting for madness over farce, as he does not seem like one to agree to the campy dialogue akin to earlier installments of A Nightmare on Elm Street. So I feel like he would go back, if you're looking into it, it would be like more like original Nightmare on Elm Street
Like
Freddy
the
Krueger.
demon
like
Freddy
that
Krueger.
kind of Freddy Krueger. I can see Joaquin Phoenix playing that. I just don't see the makeup, and I don't know if I'm sold on him acting as Freddy.
No,
I wouldn't want to see that.
No, I'm hard pass on that one.
Well, and anytime you have a top 5 list of actors to play something, this guy's name is always bound to show up. Of course, Johnny Depp is the next on their list.
No.
And I'm out for a minute. I don't understand why he's on the list, other than the fact that everything else.
Well, and he's got a history of being in the movies.
Yeah, the one person that's not
kind of neat.
the one person that's not on this list, that's everybody's list normally, that I'm surprised about, is Idris Elba. I think Idris Elba should play everything, but it's not Freddy. I just can't see Idris Elba because he has that serious, like, monotone voice.
He's too big. He's
Yeah,
too like
man.
Yeah.
he's too like buff.
maybe a version of Freddy in the Dream World.
Yeah.
like going back to like Super Freddy or something. But
Right.
but like Idris Elba's too, like he's scary on his own.
Like,
I don't
yeah.
think he needs to be Freddy to be scary.
Yeah,
I'm just throwing it
like
out there.
Freddy's got to have like a wraith-like quality to some extent, like skinnier maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, like a built Freddy Krueger doesn't work for me.
Right.
This is the next person on this list is probably my second favorite on the list behind Michael Keaton. And I believe that he could do the character very well, and I think he could do the human portion of the character very well. Number 4 on their list was Michael Shannon.
Well,
I hate that guy, but he could.
That's my point.
Dude,
That is
Michael
my point.
Michael Shannon is one of the best living actors.
Yes, that's my point, though. But think about the fact that he can get you to hate him in his roles would make him the perfect person to be human Freddy Krueger, because he'd be super hated.
I saw the first time I saw Man of Steel. That was the first time I really paid attention to Michael Shannon. I was like, I need to see this. I need to see everything he's done. And it was when I was still getting discs from Netflix. So I just loaded up every single movie that Michael Shannon's been in.
He's great.
He is one of the best living actors.
The reason why he's on the list is said Michael Shannon would capture Freddy's sinister nature with ease, which I agree with. He would likely need to just find a way to alter the comic aspect a bit to retain the character's history, but also fit in with and maybe extend the identity as he has forged as an actor. I think he would be fine.
I can't stand the way he talks.
Yeah, but he would change that.
He's got
changed that in
different-
different movies and stuff.
The second that guy walks on screen, he's intense.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's just he brings this intensity that like no other actor.
I can just see him being
I
human
could
Freddy
see him
Krueger.
doing it, but I'm a pass just because I can't stand him
Right,
as an actor.
that's fine. But I
can see
mean,
it.
I would. He's so far on their list. He's number 2 on their list for me because I think Michael Keaton is definitely the front.
I would agree.
Oh yeah.
I'm
The last one I am fine with because we have seen him in a lot of makeup. So I think that he would be fine in makeup, and I think he would just be playing an extension of this character. Of course, that is Ralph Fiennes, who of course was Voldemort in the Harry Potter
he
movies.
could be good.
Yeah.
So I think he's also a very good. That was the one. That's the last one on their list, by the way. But I think that he could be a very good. We've seen him in a deep amount of makeup
And bald.
and he is, that's kind of a Freddy Krueger-esque character.
Yeah.
If Voldemort is kind of a Freddy Krueger-esque character. So
Yeah.
technically I think he'd be fine as Freddy.
Yeah.
The only reason I would put Shannon and Keaton first, Shannon second, him third, but all of them I would accept as Freddy.
Yeah.
The reason why I would put it in that order is because I think Michael Keaton, with name value alone, plus the fact that he's probably one of the greatest actors to ever live,
Yeah.
would be accepted by more fans just because Michael Keaton is Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And also bring a new audience because there's Keaton fans.
And don't go chasing
An
waterfalls.
older audience too.
Yeah.
And don't go chasing waterfalls.
Yes, exactly. If he can work a TLC reference in, bam, he's the greatest ever.
Bring it in.
He might
back up a little
he
bit.
might take it. He might take the role completely from Robert Englund if he brings in a TLC. But number 2 for me on their list would be Michael Shannon, and the reason why is just I can see him being evil.
Yeah.
Like the sinister side is easy. If you
doesn't
want to
even need
make
makeup.
if you want, yeah, exactly. I think he should be the human Freddy. You would hate him completely.
Yeah.
And it would be one of those times where he just has that ability to be hated.
That would be really
And
cool
I
to
think
do.
that would be sinister and good. I don't think he could do the comedy portions because God knows we've never seen him. But as far as like the serious sinister stuff, and like I said, Ralph Fiennes is perfectly fine with me. But I just think the other two, name wise and everything, would be better. But he'd be
seems a
great
bit-
because he's done it. I feel like he's already done it.
It seems
Voldemort's
a
kind
bit
of a
repetitive, though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like because I think that would be what would happen. People wouldn't like it because they'd be like, he's just being Voldemort as Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Because the characters have a similarity. They really do. So now I want to open it up.
Yeah, I got a list.
Let's
I
go ahead.
I got
So
12
Mike,
of them
I've got
on here.
3.
Okay, so
You-
let's
you go
start with
first, then.
let's start with Rafe because he has 3.
All right. Richard Brake.
That would be good.
I could see that.
like that.
I want to see Richard Brake as Freddy Krueger. That's my number 1 pick. This is just because I've been watching him on Conan recently. Interviews Timothy Olyphant.
I had him on my list.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it.
I
Yeah.
think he would be interesting.
He looks terrible all of a sudden, though.
He's skinny.
that might help.
He looks
Yeah.
That might help the role.
Yeah, maybe
well-
that's what he's going for.
And I'm
The
gonna.
only
looks like
problem,
he's
the only
aged a
problem
lot.
I gotta say, my only problem with Oliphant being in the role, he's very good, but he tends to come off as douchey a lot in movies
Yeah.
and shows, and I don't know if that's going to work in the Krueger role. If he could not be douchey, then yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's never really.
Well, he was Mickey. He
He's
was
never
Mickey in Scream.
acted as anything like that kind of crazy.
He was
before.
Mickey in Scream, too.
Yeah, but he didn't act that crazy.
Yeah.
He got pretty crazy in the end.
Well,
Not that crazy, but he got
by the
pretty
way,
crazy.
but the end was kind of
I like that movie.
Really?
I like that.
I
I
don't
love
know.
Scream, too.
And I might switch this to my number 1. Kevin Bacon.
That's
Kevin
something
Bacon's
people have been talking
everything.
about for so long. I purposely didn't
By
put
the
him
way,
on my
I
list
just want to point out
because he's the odds-on favorite.
at his
I'll play it.
age now. You know, of
think
course,
it'd be
Kevin
great.
Bacon's amazing, but
Yeah.
at his age now, he has the facial features
Yeah.
to look more like
And he's
Robert
been
Englund
open
anybody.
to it. He's talked about it, that he'd be open
That'd
to
be a
doing
great
it.
trifecta. He was in Friday the 13th, and then he could be in Nightmare on Elm Street.
And Tremors.
In
And
Tremors,
Tremors, yeah.
making his return to Tremors, actually, from what I understand.
Well, they were
Well,
gonna
they
do
did the series,
didn't they?
and it didn't happen.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Boo! They should have done it.
It sounded
'Cause
like
he was
a cool
coming back.
idea.
He was
Yeah.
coming back. Anything Kevin Bacon's in, I'm in for
But
watching.
Richard Brake, number 1.
Yeah, I
know,
can
Richard
definitely
Brake's
see
a
that.
really
Of
good
that
one.
list, that I would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike,
wish I
let's
had
get
done
this
it.
long
You
list.
have
We
12?
knock, so we can
12.
knock one off because Oliphant was on
Yeah,
it.
so we're down to 11.
Okay.
And the first one is just one that I'm just surprised that nobody had put it on a list yet. And I'm not saying that I would like to see it because I can't stand him, but he's so over the top. Nicolas Cage.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely
He's
not.
so over
man.
the top crazy that I think that
The only way
talk
okay,
about it.
the only
on
reason
I wouldn't want to see it. I'm not saying that, but I'm just surprised that
and this is
nobody's
not
had it on
even
their
for
list.
this is not even for my normal joke. The only way I'd see that is if they really were making a sequel to Freddy's Dead. Let's be honest. Like honestly, and once again, and like I said, that isn't even my normal joke.
the bees.
That's my point. He's so over the top that the only way I can see him being Freddy Krueger is if they were like, okay, we're going to go straight like sequel to Freddy's Dead, that kind of amount of comedy in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
We got two
Outside
Freddy's
of that,
Dead references in here today.
yeah, but that wasn't even.
It wasn't
that's
even
not even part
intended.
of the shtick. It's
Yeah.
just that's the only way I can see him
You
being in
both
it.
saw Mandy, though, right?
He was
I
really
have
good,
not.
but he's still over.
I can't stand Nicolas Cage.
He's
I
just
can't
over.
do it.
Mandy was great, but
Yeah.
it's because he's great at being over the top. Like I feel like horror is great for him because over top. Because the kids movie that he was in, Mom and Dad.
Mom and Dad was
Dude
great.
was great,
Yeah.
but think about it. The best part about that was he's over
He's
the top.
so maniacal,
That scene,
yeah.
that scene where he's outside the door. Come on,
You know
come
what?
on out.
If he was
He's
Freddy
like,
Krueger-
I just want to fucking kill you.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my god.
As Freddy Krueger, though, he could say original lines like, I want to take his face off.
Yeah.
Oh man, if Diesel listened to this show and he wasn't scared of the show, he would hate you for that. Especially if you followed that by saying, "I could eat a peach for hours."
Castor Troy.
We say
Castor Troy.
we say lines from Face Off to Diesel on Three Fat Nerds just to drive him nuts.
Next time I see him, I'll
I
have to
should
drop
make him
one.
listen to this so he can know that we threw it in there. But
Face Off's great.
what's number 10 on your list?
But these aren't even in like a
No,
rank. Or
I know,
anything.
but I'm saying you got 10 left.
Next one on my list, and he's way too old to play. He's actually older than Robert Englund, or about the same age as Robert Englund, so he wouldn't do it. But I can just picture it, and that would be Richard Jenkins.
Yeah.
Richard
he'd
Jenkins
be
is like,
decent.
amazing. He's
could-
an amazing actor.
Yeah.
But I think we run into the same problem we run in with Robert Englund's not
He's
coming
72
back. But-
years old. I put their
but-
ages next to everybody I put down. He's 72.
But I could see it. But once
Yeah.
again, I think that's going to hurt him because of the same
Yeah.
age.
There's a couple other ones on. A lot of these ones are actually too old to play it. But next one on the list, Willem Dafoe.
I don't know if he's too old to play it.
He's 60.
That's fine, but
Or-
he's still ready to put his body on the line. Because let's be honest, Willem Dafoe is amazing in that.
Tom
I
Hanks couldn't do that.
I could see William Dafoe doing it. Why? Because the
Green Goblin was basically Freddy Krueger. the way he acted.
pretty much. But I also
sounded like him.
he's such a great actor. I could see him doing it, and I think his age would help him because
Yeah.
I don't think he really cares about how old he is.
I don't think
putting
he
his body
would
on the
do
line.
it based on the fact that his career is where it is right now. But
He might though.
he did play the Green Goblin.
That
so
guy
might,
can
though.
bring like
He can do. He's such a method actor.
Can
Yeah,
we mix in?
so-
Can
the
we mix in
quality
his?
of his work. He would make it way better than it ever would be.
All you have
Yeah.
to do is tell him he can mix in some of the shit he did in Antichrist.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think people are ready for that in a Freddy Krueger though. Continuing on.
Also, 64 years old, Bryan Cranston.
Cranston's good in everything, so I can see that. Once
I can
again, he's
see him.
another guy who I don't think why we see an older guy want to do this because the limitations of Robert Englund saying it's hard to wear the prosthetics, etc. And it is, and I'm not taking away from him, but between the two guys you just named, even though they're a little older, those guys don't care.
Yeah.
I can see for the art of it, I can see those guys wearing that and not giving two shits about how old they are,
Yeah.
just because they're at that level. Now, mind you, also they didn't wear it for years like Robert Englund, who has probably broken his body down. Let's be
Right.
honest.
Yeah. And then Cranston had that great run in that commercial as Jack Torrance.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that to go a little further. Of course, he was great on Breaking Bad. He has so much depth and the comedy bits.
Yeah.
As we saw him in
Yeah.
Malcolm in the
Comedic
Middle. He's very
actors.
good. So there you go. He could actually do the serious and the comedy side. I would be on board for Bryan Cranston.
All right, Neil Patrick Harris.
I don't know. Well, I guess
He'd get the comedy part down. He's about the right size.
He looks like him.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
I think it would fail
it wouldn't
miserably
be-
if he did it. But
I
think he
I don't
looks
think,
the
I
part.
think
I don't think he would be horrible in the part. I just don't think it would work.
Nah, yeah.
Like
I'm 50-50 on that one.
yeah, well, like I said, I could see him doing it. I could see the role. I'd be like,
The
okay, he
look,
looks
yeah.
good, but I don't think that would succeed. It's kind of like with Ralph Fiennes. I think he would look good at the part because we kind of seen him with
Right.
But I just don't think that it would work. I don't think the fans would buy it. You have to go with a heavy hitter. I mean, Cranston and Dafoe are definitely heavy hitters. Michael Keaton definitely a heavy hitter. You have to go with somebody who is larger than life because I think that's the only way fans will even accept it.
Right.
Yeah.
The next one, I don't think I'd want to see it, but I put him on here just because, again, I'm surprised that he hasn't been on any lists that you read, Rich, or you, Professor. But Bill Moseley.
Yeah, you're getting into. I think he'd be great because Bill Moseley is. Let's be
He's
honest,
68.
But
68
He's
years old.
68?
Yeah,
And
I
I guess-
never would have known that.
And I'm going to defend
I
the
thought he
same
was in
way I
his
defended
50s.
Cranston and Dafoe. I'm going to say that he's willing to put his body on the line, so it's
You know,
not a problem.
the thing with that is like he played the cook from Texas Chainsaw Massacre in Texas Chainsaw 3D. He they recast
they
the
moved
character
him, yeah,
because
yeah.
you know the original actor had died, and I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand the way he looked and this and that. And he's always over the top with when he does stuff, but it would work as a Freddy Krueger role. But he's too old for the role.
Here's the thing: I think horror fans would accept it. I think mainstream, I don't think it would,
Yeah,
because he's not a very mainstream guy. But horror fans would be excited because everybody loves Bill Moseley in the
Yeah,
horror.
maybe
he's a
that's what
cult
would
guy,
work.
yeah.
Maybe that's what would work.
There's another
People
guy
would be
that-
like, "Who the hell
There's
is this
one guy
Freddy?"
that one guy that I'm going to mention if you don't mention that I think would work for that same reason too. But continue on.
Okay, Doug Jones.
Of course, he can
There,
do
tough-
it.
if he
Yeah.
could
But
do it.
he's 6'4", I believe, or 6'5".
That
He's
could
a
be
big
cool.
a little
guy.
tall. He's a little tall for Freddy.
He's too tall to play
That could
Freddy,
be cool
but-
though.
But he would be a cool Freddy. Once again, we're going to run into that
You could
problem.
digitally
though.
shrink him.
That's what I was going to say. I mean,
Well,
look,
here's
they
the problem.
digitally lowered the age of the actors from it, in Chapter 2.
Yeah.
So
Well, I also got to point out that I think he'd be great in it, but once again, I think it's going to be like the other 50-50s on this list. He'd be great. I could see him in the role, but I don't know if it would sell to the fans. if you
Yeah.
will. But I think he would be great in the role.
the fans don't know. I know better than the fans.
You can't do that all the time.
Yeah.
You can only do that in wrestling.
Yeah.
Next up, Jeff Bridges.
Ironic,
man.
Ironic.
Hey, I'm hot in your dreams, man.
Dude, man. All right, so if he
That'd be
plays
amazing.
ready, if he plays Freddy Krueger as the dude, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
He's got to have the
Well,
robe on.
You know,
Krugbowski, I'm in. The big Fred Bowski. There you go. Big Fred
jeez.
Bowski. I'm in.
Next up, Christian Bale.
no.
I think he's too over the top.
You think so?
Yeah, he's too intense. And that sounds weird to say, but he is really too intense.
You think it'd be too intense to play a Freddy Krueger?
Could you imagine Batman voice as Freddy Krueger? I'm Freddy.
I mean, he could do it, but it's just, I don't know.
Where is she?
He looks too good. Also.
Yeah, I was gonna say he is a very handsome man.
He's a handsome man.
Even better.
But
yeah, but that doesn't work for
you know
the
what's really
character,
funny? It's you say he's intense.
Makeup.
There was like an article years ago. I remember. I forgot what magazine it was, but it was an article. People talking about like how awesome Christian Bale is, and like women talking about how sexy he is. But a lot of the women were like, I don't know if I would ever want to have sex with him because he just doesn't seem like he's a fun person.
He feels like he has sex like he does in American Psycho.
Yeah, like
just going to town.
Yeah, and he's crazy. The guy's crazy.
He is crazy.
I just thought of another.
I love him, but he's
like him.
crazy.
I'm back up to 12 because I just thought of another one. But although he's too big
We're
for the
back
part.
up to 12.
All right,
He's too
going.
big for the part. That's Javier Bardem, but he's too big.
He is
No,
too big for the
he's
part,
too
but
big.
he'd be
And
fine.
his
if
face
he's
is too big.
And he has too much of
the face.
too much of an
Now,
accent.
he'd be great if they recast Super Freddy.
He has too much of an accent to be Freddy Krueger, although they would digitally do his voice. But I
Like
just I
Super
can't see
Shredder.
it.
Well, remember we had Super Freddy in Part 5 in the comic book.
Yeah?
film.
Yeah.
So he'd be great for that casting. Just throwing that out there.
All right, so I got 3 more. Benicio del Toro.
No.
I'm not sold on him. I think he's the opposite of Bale. I think he's not intense enough. He's
Little
too
too
laid.
subdued.
He's too. I've never really seen him
I'm
super
thinking
intense.
of his face, but
His face might look good in the prosthetics, but you're talking about making Freddy like a super laid back character then, because you never really see him get too. Even when he tries to be over passionate, I feel like he's like that cool guy in the room.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I say
Like the closest thing, like Dr. Gonzo in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, is
Yeah.
the scariest I've ever seen him.
Pretty much.
So I'm a big fan of the Richard Jenkins and Willem Dafoe, at the top. But again, I think they're too old for it. So my 2 favorite ones I save for last. The first one's Steve Buscemi.
He would look good.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's creepy looking to begin with.
He
He's
would-
perfect.
he'd be
Absolutely.
He
perfect
looks
for it.
like a child molester. I hate to say-
Hey, whoa,
Wow.
whoa, whoa,
Don't-
whoa,
okay.
whoa.
Especially after the rape of 2 Corys. Calm it down, man.
I'm just saying.
Pedophile, the name pedophile.
I'm not saying to be
You didn't
funny.
see it? You didn't see that? Last night, Corey Feldman did the documentary, The Rape of 2 Corys. If you wanted, you could pay $20. I did not.
Holy.
And he named names. The only notable name on the list, allegedly, because I don't want to get us in trouble, was Charlie Sheen. He says that
That's
he
always
raped.
been known.
Well, yeah, but he came out and said he raped him and Corey Haim. So, well, it was always alleged that he was a pedophile. He's named him as one, which then again, I was like, by now, that guy's such a heel now and scumbag that I'm sure nobody's
And he keeps
surprised.
getting jobs in Hollywood for some reason.
I don't know.
But Steve Buscemi, I don't mean anything against
No,
him.
let's
I'm just
go
saying
back
the way he
into-
No,
looks.
yeah, we were just giving you shit.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like,
no, I
like-
think
and the reason I thought of him was I watched
Buscemi would be
I watched Billy Madison the other night, and just the way he looked in that, like a lot of his early
But
characters.
if Steve Buscemi's listening, we love you. And
I love Steve Buscemi.
I don't think he looks like a pedophile.
I don't think he does. Me and Rafe, me and the professor, do not think he
He's
looks
one of
like
my
a
favorite
pedophile,
actors.
sir.
I love Steve
Mike
Buscemi.
C's opinions are his, but I don't think you look like a pedophile. Sir.
got
I think
the
you're
bug
amazing
eyes.
at.
It's the bug eyes and the teeth
He would
and
be.
the lips
He would be
and-
good as Freddy Krueger.
He would be good.
I agree.
So my favorite one now. This is my favorite one. Cillian Murphy.
Good choice.
Yeah, I
Good
can
choice.
see that.
I can see that.
Yeah, he's great.
The only one I'm going to add to the list, and he's unlikely, but it's going to follow in the Bill Moseley footsteps, would be Bruce Campbell. Because for horror fans, I mean, he's a little bigger than a
he's too
normal
big,
Freddy. He's a
yeah.
little too big. But going to the fact that horror fans are the first people you're going to have to impress, there's not a lot of huge horror icon names out there that could be Freddy Krueger. Bill Moseley is one of them. I think Bruce Campbell's the other one. The problem is Bruce Campbell is too big. Of course, the other guy that you could throw in there would be Kane Hodder, but Kane Hodder is super too big.
Yeah.
Like to the point that you just can't do Kane
Right.
Hodder.
What about-
So realistically, I mean, if you did a slightly bigger version of Freddy, because I mean, he's not gigantic as Bruce Campbell, but if you did a slightly bigger version, because obviously you're relaunching a series, he'd be a good pick just because horror fans would be like, oh shit, Bruce Campbell's Freddy.
Right, but there was some, I can't even remember which one of them it was you guys were mentioning earlier, but you're like, horror fans would know who it is, but the mainstream people wouldn't know who it is. And
Moseley.
Bruce Campbell, same thing. Horror fans know him.
Well,
but
actually, Burn
if
Notice
he
was
comes
huge,
out-
brother. Burn Notice was
Briscoe
huge.
County Jr., man.
But
I also want to point out, you know who else would be a good pick? And this is the last one I'm going to throw. A good pick, and his company is pitching it, is Elijah Wood.
I almost put him
Yes.
down, but I
As a
Absolutely.
younger version of Freddy,
Absolutely,
because if you're
yes.
rebooting, you would want to start younger. I think Elijah Wood, especially after watching the remake of Maniac.
Kevin in Sin City.
Yeah. But if you think about it, if you watch Maniac,
Maniac's
if
great,
you never
yeah.
saw the remake of Maniac,
Awesome
Elijah
movie.
Wood is amazing.
See, to
in
me,
that
he's
movie.
just too baby-faced and too...
But with the makeup,
just a little
he's
kid.
got the right
He looks
head
like a little
shape
kid
for
still.
it.
But I think here's what I'm going to go with him, and I agree with the baby facing. With the makeup, he would look good,
Right.
Because it would look different. But let's put it this way: if you started in regular Freddy and going into the makeup, it would be kind of intriguing to see that pedophile angle played out by somebody who looks
Like a
good
kid.
enough. Looks good enough also to lure a kid in.
Yeah.
Think about it. If you get too creepy, what kid really is gonna wanna? That was my only problem with Robert Englund. Because think about Robert Englund, was scary as shit when he was regular Freddy too. So you're like, how are you luring these kids? That was the nice part about Jackie Earle Haley in the remake, because in the remake, if you notice, he looked like a kid.
Yeah.
It was easy to believe he could be a pedophile and lure them in.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying obviously he's not. It's a movie, but I think that would be where Elijah Wood would be very good, because you would be like, oh shit, I could see him luring kids into being raped. I mean, it sounds bad to say, but that's part of the character. And then once you get the makeup on him, he's menacing. Believe it or not, I was surprised at how menacing he was. In Sin City, he was menacing.
Yeah.
And in Maniac, he is super menacing.
Yeah.
And I was worried about Maniac. I love Maniac, the original movie. And I was like, man, it's hard to take over that scary
That
serial
remake was
killer.
great.
But then I saw him.
couldn't get through 15 minutes of it. I thought
Really?
it was terrible.
How did you? Oh,
It was in first person for starters. I
It was
couldn't stand
amazing.
it. I thought that
good.
was
I'm sorry.
god
I'm sorry,
awful.
Mike. I got to disagree with you.
That movie-
And speaking of comedy chops, have you ever seen Cooties?
Yes,
Yes.
that is a good movie.
Isn't Alfonso Ribeiro in that?
Yes,
Rainn
it's
Wilson.
Rainn Wilson's also in it.
Rainn Wilson would be a good.
Rainn Wilson might be good
Freddy.
as well. Yeah.
Rainn Wilson, I'm going to throw in.
Let's
there.
just go with
Or no, Alfonso Ribeiro wasn't in Cooties.
No, it was somebody else.
He was
Sorry.
in Ticks.
Yes.
Sorry,
Sorry,
wrong movie.
right.
I'm going to add Rainn Wilson
Sorry,
to
wrong-
my list.
wrong-
He would be awesome.
I
as
hate to say
Freddy.
it this way, but wrong token black guy. I got him confused. I'm sorry. Like Cooties had a different token black guy. I can't remember who it is off that man. I apologize to him deeply. But Rainn Wilson was in it, and I love the comment of "Oh my God, it's pickup time. it's gonna be a feeding frenzy." That movie was so good. If you have not seen Cooties, by the way, out there, you want to watch a fun zombie movie, it's amazing. And
Yeah.
also, unlike Mike, who hates Maniac, me and the Professor both put a stamp of
That's the
approval
only
on the
movie
remake.
that I can think of that I would give worse.
Do you
a worse
like the
score. I would give it a
original?
0 out of 10.
Do you like the original?
The original one disturbed me so much that
That's the point.
I
Yeah.
gave that DVD to Luke.
Yes. All right. Yeah.
That movie's
yeah.
so good.
That's the only DVD I've ever
feel
given
that
away
that's
out of
what
my
a lot
collection.
A lot of people say that about the original. The original
It
is so
makes you feel
unsettling that it does. But that's what it was supposed to be.
It's like
It
Henry
works.
the Portrait of the Serial Killer.
Yeah.
You watch it.
Yeah, I didn't care
You
for
watch
that
it and
either.
you feel like you need
Need
to
a
take
shower.
a bath. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't realize that was a true story.
Oh yeah.
So
Well,
Based
it's
on.
based on, so it's loose.
had the same character, the same name.
Right, but it's loosely. So
Loosely based on
as everything in
Yeah.
life, the dramatization. Now, some of the stuff that he did in that movie, he did in real life, but then the dramatized parts weren't exactly.
Yeah.
'cause,
Gotcha.
That's where it's different. But it is pretty close. It's not
Right.
like it's not based on like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right.
Like, it's not very far off. It's actually close to it. But I digress. I think all those picks were great for Freddy. Obviously, we're staring down new Freddy. I think we all had some great selections. By the way, you guys out there listening to us right now, you tell us who you would accept as Freddy Krueger. Do you agree with any of us, or do you have somebody we didn't even put on the list? We'd love to hear from you. If you want to talk about that or anything else, or add a question, or add a movie you would like us to watch, anything at all, you can do that on social media. Of course, we're on Facebook, HorrorZone607. Like and share the page. We are on Twitter and Instagram at HorrorZone607. Use the hashtag HZ607 whenever talking about the show. We really do appreciate it. You can find us on any, as you know, because you're listening, you can find us on any podcast provider. Please spread that word to all of your friends. Look us up. We're on every podcast provider. We're on Stitcher. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on CastBox. We're on,
can
we're on
Google search
Spotify.
us. Just
We're on,
type us in Google.
We're on Google Play Podcasts even.
Yeah.
We're on all those podcast providers and many, many more. Go ahead, smash the subscribe button. That means our show will come to you every week, downloadable. You don't even have to worry about it. You can hear us and our takes. Of course, if you would like, you could also stream and download us from our own website. That's right, Mike. We have a website. It's called
Are you sure? Really?
Yeah, and this is also a podcast.
Where am I?
Yes, this is also a podcast. Last week,
I'm never going to live this down.
Last week he didn't know we had a podcast or a website, but you can listen to this very
I just
podcast.
show up every week and talk in a microphone. I don't know.
I didn't know this was going out there.
You can listen to this very podcast on our website, 8122productions.com. You can stream and download from there. Also, you can read reviews that Mike C. and the Professor have done, even some I have done as well. You can also check out the Three Fat Nerds. That's also, I host that show, and also one of our 8122 production shows, as well as the wrestling show that I do with Ken M from the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. You go to Friends of the Show, and you can go right to OchoDuroParlayHour.com and check those guys out as well. Also, big shout outs to Floodlands, who does a lot of the Floodlands/Crimson Brethren, who does a lot of the music you hear during the tags on the breaks, along with the Shot at the Robots, the Foss Fiends, and you'll hear Second Suitor here and there. So I just want to plug all the bands. You can find them all listed under Friends of the Show as well.
Suitor?
Second Suitor, yeah.
From like Mallrats?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. Could
That's
you
where they
say
got the-
Second Suitor,
That's
please?
where they got the name. They're so great. They're actually a very good band.
That's awesome.
They do a pop punk kind of.
All right.
It's really actually really entertaining. You should listen to them. They're
Yeah,
great.
I like punk.
So then you kick it over, and of course you can look at our local sponsors. Of course, Dragon Master Games, where it provides us with a studio. I'm also going to announce the Three Fat Nerds /8122 Productions 2nd year anniversary party will be here at Dragon Master Games on April 11th. Me, Diesel, and Ron will be giving our Star Wars movies in order. From worst to first or from first to worst, depending upon how you want to do it. And that'll be a live podcast going down. Plus, there'll be refreshments, cookie cake probably, because that's what I liked last
had
time.
one last year.
Let's do it this year. BYOB. And then we're also planning another surprise that hopefully will go down that night as well. I can't announce that surprise yet, but I can tell you April 11th, the doors will open at 8 o'clock here at Dragon Master Games. The podcast will start about 9:30, depending upon the special guests that we have coming as well. It'll be a lot of fun.
Michael
It was a lot of
Keaton,
fun.
right? It's Michael
I
Keaton.
wish we had Michael Keaton coming.
No.
I would announce that right now, but it's not Michael Keaton. Sorry.
Yeah, if it was Michael Keaton, we would have
Yeah,
to.
I would have led. I would have led with that.
Nope,
It would-
we're going to keep a secret. Nobody
Cat's
shows
out of the
up.
bag now. It's Michael Keaton.
Nobody shows up, and Michael Keaton's just chilling.
What was this, guys? What's going on?
Hey, he got his
Wanna
money. He
get
doesn't
nuts? Let's get nuts.
I'm just going to record him doing Beetlejuice voices. Anyways, so last but certainly not least, if you would like to support the show and get a lot of great bonus content from 8122 Productions, you can do that on Patreon. Patreon.com/8122 Productions. We won't break the bank. It's literally we have two tiers. One's $1 a month, one's $3 a month. So as little as $12 a year, you get to get all the bonus content. You get a little comfier seat at the table, as Ken M likes to point out, if you pay the $3 a month. All of that does go into the show and getting the stuff, and we do have some patrons, so that's awesome. Yeah. We would like more. Once again, just listening to the show is good enough for us, but if you would like to take that extra step, you get a ton of bonus content with it as well, and that's patreon.com/8122 Productions. And Mike, that's all I got for the plugs at the end of the show.
Okay, well, thank you so much for listening again this week. We appreciate each and every week that you guys tune in. I want to thank the Professor.
Hey, it's always
You made
a
it
pleasure.
again?
I'm gonna.
This is
I'm
becoming
gonna
a
do
regular
my,
thing.
I do my best.
I'm impressed.
Well,
You're taking a lot of time away from your busy schedule teaching the youth of America.
I aim to please.
Don't you teach something like 65 courses a week or something like
Yeah,
that?
I have 1,000 students
Yeah,
this semester.
this semester alone.
Yep.
That's like daily.
It's like I have to. If they write a 5-page paper, that's a lot of pages
Yeah,
that I have
it's
to
a lot.
read.
It's a lot.
The fact that you find time to do personal reading is amazing.
Yeah, it is. And
Yeah.
then he comes and he takes time out of that just to come and do the show with us. This
Absolutely.
little show that we've got. Rich, thank you as always for everything you do. It's a pleasure.
And I'd like to congratulate Mike on actually mentioning our names when he's talking to us.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Pronouns
Hey you,
was very
hey
good.
you, hey you.
Pronouns
Well, normally it's just Rich and I in here, so I can just look at him and say, "So, what did you think?" So,
Yeah.
You know what? Pronouns are very good this
Yeah,
week.
that's-
And I think he acknowledged that we have a podcast.
Yeah.
And possibly a website.
we
He
might.
hasn't really
We may.
acknowledged
There
that yet.
might be a website.
Baby
I got to
steps.
look into it.
Baby steps.
I got to look into that. If not, we should start one.
Yeah.
I really thought we were just getting together and just talking about horror movies and just like hanging out.
What are these microphones doing?
He's
Eat
like, I
like
didn't even know.
Doritos
I
and-
thought we did that so we could hear each other better on these headphones.
You guys are idiots. I love it.
Well, we
Technically.
knew we were on the podcast and we had a website, so I don't know.
That's true. Good point. Good point.
Could
So is
be-
the special guest going to be like one of the Golden Girls? Is Betty White going to be here?
I think she's the only Golden Girl left.
She is, but we might be able to get Rue McClanahan's.
Did they all die?
Yeah,
think so. I'm
we might be
pretty
able to get
sure.
Rue McClanahan's like corpse in here or something. So
I'm pretty sure she's the last surviving one.
she is.
Damn.
Yeah, I think even Stanley died.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that she's the only one left.
Yeah. Well.
Damn.
God love her. God love
Well,
her.
the funny part was the person who played Ma. She was the
Youngest.
She was the
youngest one,
youngest, and she
she's
died
the first one
first.
to go.
which is crazy. She was
Wait,
she
Blanche
played
died?
They're all gone
They're
except
all
for
gone
Betty
except
White.
for Betty White.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Betty White just turned 100 or 99.
97 or 98.
Yeah, she's up there. She's getting almost 100. It's gonna be
Almost.
it's gonna be a tragic day when we have to announce
think-
the death of Betty White.
I'll
Yeah,
be
I think,
wearing
like-
my-
Of
I have
course,
two
she
Golden
has horror.
Girls
By the way, she
t-shirts.
has horror ties. She was in Lake Placid.
Yes, she was.
She
Yeah.
was amazing in Lake
was
Placid.
great.
So.
Yeah. I have
So-
two Golden Girls t-shirts. I would be wearing one that day. So.
So that'll be a sad day. When she's a national treasure.
When
She
Rue
is.
McClanahan died, this is a true fact here. This is a true story. I used to go do
story.
karaoke all the time. The day that she died, I wore my Golden Girls t-shirt to that show or to that whatever you want to call it, that karaoke night.
Karaoke
and I
jam.
actually sang the
Thank you
Golden
for
Girls
being
theme.
thank you for being a
I
friend.
did sing that song that night, so it was.
he broke
it was
down crying.
I
It
did
was
break down
really-
crying. It was embarrassing for
Travel
everybody.
down the road and back again.
Everybody was embarrassed, but me. I mean, it was.
Your heart is true.
Yeah.
You're a friend
Friend
and
and
a confidant.
And with that, we're gonna bid you all a fair due for this week. So for the guys, this is Mike C saying, see ya.